Good evening. I'm Shreya Dhoundiyal. What is happening at airports across India for the last 4 days is, ladies and gentlemen, more than anything else, a cautionary tale about monopoly. When you have an airline that controls 65% of the market, then, well, that airline can pretty much do what it wants to, like cancelling some 1,800 plus flights, like creating complete chaos, like delaying flights for more than 10 hours, like misplacing your luggage, like not hiring adequate pilots because, well, rules don't apply to you. They can do it because they know that you and I don't have a choice. All we can do is grit our teeth and applaud this African woman, and you'll just see her in a bit on your screens, who scared the hell out of IndiGo today at the Mumbai airport. I'm being told that the Civil Aviation Minister is speaking. I think it's important we go to him and listen to what he's saying, because the government has been caught napping on this story. Let's quickly go across to the Civil Aviation Minister.
It was 1 month before itself, and through the last 1 month also we have been observing, and things were pretty much not to the extent of this, but there was no issue regarding the new FDTL norms that was observed. And the second thing is that the other airlines, Air India or the Akasa or SpiceJet, they have all adjusted and they have done the necessary this thing. But here, what was unanticipated suddenly, which has boomed into this because of the mismanagement that has happened at the IndiGo regarding their crew, that is why this incident has happened, which is why, to ensure normalcy is there at the earliest, we have given certain abeyance to the FDTL norms to IndiGo. But on the other side, because we have observed this only in IndiGo, so we have established a committee which will inquire into all this so that they can establish where things went wrong and who did it wrong. And we are going to take necessary action on that also. This thing.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's the Aviation Minister of the country, who for the last 4 days has been silent. And essentially what the Aviation Ministry and the DGC and the government have been doing is sitting in their AC rooms, seeing this chaos unfold, but not saying or doing anything till it goes viral. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point of time, all we can do is grit our teeth and applaud this African woman who scared the hell out of IndiGo today at the Mumbai airport. Can we please put her pictures there? That video we are now going to show you is viral, because in our heads, this is exactly how we've been feeling.
Je vais retourner mon pays. Je vais retourner mon pays. C'est vous qui a gaspillé mon billet. Alors, je vais mon billet. Je vais mon billet. Je vais mon billet. Je vais retourner en France. Je vais retourner en France. Je vais mon billet. Pas de billet, je retourne chez moi. J'habite pas même. J'habite pas n'importe quoi, j'habite en France. Il faut que je me découvre. Il ne prend pas les gens en charge. Quoi? Je vais mon billet. Je vais mon billet. Je vais retourner à mon pays.
Ladies and gentlemen, she wasn't the only one. Just take a look at another passenger again at the Mumbai airport and hear what she had to say.
You can see visuals from Mumbai airport wherein the passengers have now turned furious, and these are the passengers who have left stranded for nearly 3 to 4 days, are now breaking out their luggage. Full aggression is what we can understand into eyes of these passengers.
IndiGo वाले हमारा जो लगेज था, बॉम्बे की हूँ, मेरी कल दिल्ली की फ्लाइट थी, ये लगेज नहीं देने के लिए रेडी नहीं, इनको कुछ पता ही नहीं हमारा लगेज कहाँ पर है। ये कितना बेवकूफ़ी की बात है। मतलब अगर मैं कहीं और से आती, मेरा लगेज अगर होता तो मैं समझ में आता। मैं बॉम्बे की हूँ, यहाँ से मैंने अभी फ्लाइट भी नहीं लिया था, कैंसिल हो गया, हमारा एयरपोर्ट पे ही है, तो एटलीस्ट इनको बोलना चाहिए ना कि कहाँ पर है हमारा लगेज, हमें कब मिलेगा। इनके साइड से कोई रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नहीं है, कोई रिस्पॉन्स नहीं है।
Ladies and gentlemen, across India for the last 4 days, this is the anger, this is the chaos, and this is the frustration that has reigned supreme. Imagine missing your own reception and having to attend it online. It happened to this techie couple from Bangalore. Imagine you reaching the airport with ashes of your father who has just died. You're hoping to take it for Visarjan to Haridwar, only to be told, sorry, flight cancelled. Hear it for yourself.
मेरे डैड की अस्थियां है मेरे साथ और मुझे यहाँ बेंगलोर से सबसे पहले दिल्ली जाना है। दिल्ली से फ्लाइट लेना है देहरादून से हम लोग हरिद्वार जाएंगे, विसर्जन करना है कल। बट इन्होंने सडनली फ्लाइट कैंसिल कर दिया। हमारे पास प्रायर नोटिफिकेशन कुछ भी नहीं भेजा इन लोगों ने। एंड अभी हमें ये फोर्स कर रहे हैं कि अगर आप, हमारे पास कोई फ्लाइट्स नहीं है आज के लिए, अगर आपको चाहिए तो आप दूसरी फ्लाइट्स, दूसरी एयर इंडिया या कुछ और कीजिए। उनका फ्लाइट टिकट्स आज पर पर्सन 60,000 है, विच आई कैन नॉट अफोर्ड।
तकलीफ तो बहुत है। देखो हमको अभी मिला है 8 दिन छुट्टी, तो 8 दिन छुट्टी में क्या करेंगे? जाने के लिए हमको लगा 3 दिन। मतलब इंडिगो का मतलब इतना तो सही नहीं है फ्लाइट करना, अभी तो हमको लग रहा है। फौजी आदमियों के लिए मतलब नुकसान ही है इंडिगो का फ्लाइट करना। मेरे भाइयों से ये बताना चाहता हूँ कि इंडिगो का फ्लाइट मत करो आप लोग।
सर वहाँ पे लोग किसी बात करना चाह रहा हूँ ना, मतलब कोई रिजल्ट चाह रहा हूँ, उसमें बताइए तो सही क्या बात है। मतलब वो लोग ये बोल रहे हैं कि फ्लाइट मतलब बोले 1 घंटा लेट हुई, फिर बोले 2 घंटा लेट हुई है, फिर बोले कैंसिल हो गई है। तो मेरा मतलब लेट हो रही है, कोई बात नहीं, कम से कम फ्लाइट दूसरी अरेंज कीजिए बस।
Ladies and gentlemen, question is, why is all of this happening? Well, primarily because from November 1st, new rules have kicked in for all airlines that require adequate rest for pilots and restricted duty timings. It is called the flight duty time limitation. And essentially what it is meant to do is to ensure that the pilot is well rested so that passengers in the flight is safe. Now, it's very obvious that would require at least 20% more pilots if these new rules have to come in. Airlines, ladies and gentlemen, had 2 years to prepare for these new changes. And some airlines did. But not India's largest airline that commands 65% of the market and operates 2,200 flights daily. They simply sat on their profits, didn't hire pilots because they didn't want to spend money. And come November 1st, they had planes, but they had no pilots. That, by the way, is exactly what ground crew have told harassed passengers at airports across India in the last 4 days. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the reality. Just for comparison, Air India, that has a 25% market share, domestic market share, has 3,500 pilots. So Air India has 25% of the share of the market and has 3,500 pilots. IndiGo, that is the largest airline in this country, almost a monopoly, has 65% of the market. And how many pilots does it have? 5,500. They knew they had to recruit more pilots. They simply didn't. So by 5th of December, the crisis climaxed with, well, now 1,800 plus flights cancelled and the opposition demanding answers.
इंडिगो और टाटा मिलकर इस देश के 92% एयर ट्रैफिक कंट्रोल करते हैं। इसमें से 64% सिर्फ इंडिगो के पास है। तमाम सेक्टर्स 1 या 2 लोगों के हाथ में दे दी। मानसिकता क्या है? मानसिकता है कि पार्टी 2 लोग कंट्रोल करेंगे, सरकार 2 लोग कंट्रोल करेंगे, पूरे देश का व्यापार 2 लोग कंट्रोल करेंगे। अंत में उसका लाभ उन्हीं 2 लोगों को मिलता है या सरकार में जो 2 लोग बैठे हैं उनको मिलता है, मुझे और आपको नहीं मिलता।
इंडिगो तो लूटता है, सीट लो तो लूटेगा, खाना मांगो तो लूटेगा, पानी मांगो तो लूटेगा। तो लूटने वाली एयरलाइंस है ये इंडिगो। आज जिस प्रकार से बंबई की फ्लाइटों का दाम बढ़ गया है, हमारी दूसरी फ्लाइटें कैंसिल कर दी गई हैं और उसके बावजूद गलती नहीं की है, लेकिन उसका पूरा पैसा ये आम जनता से ले रहे हैं, उनको लूट रहे हैं।
So after opposition outrage and after 5 full days of chaos, the Civil Aviation Ministry finally woke up. You just heard the Civil Aviation Minister give a soundbite. What did they do? Well, since IndiGo said it wasn't in a position to fix things before February 10th, 2 months, the government essentially buckled in. It said, fine, the new pilot rules, which essentially were instituted for flight safety, will not apply to you, that is IndiGo, till February 10th. Oh yes, did I mention the government has also instituted a high-level inquiry into the mess, whatever that means. What has IndiGo's response been? Their simple response has been, we are sorry, and today they said, we will refund you for all your cancellations. How very kind of them. Ladies and gentlemen, this is breaking news coming in. We are once again hearing from the CEO of IndiGo, who is now confirming, this is breaking news just coming in, now confirming that today itself, about 1,000 flights have been cancelled. Let me go straight across to Isha, who is joining us on the broadcast. Isha, thank you very much for joining us. Chaotic times at airports across India, not just in Delhi where you are. The CEO of IndiGo now confirming, and can we just put that figure on our screens as well, now confirming that at least 1,000 flights were cancelled today, which makes today the worst day of them all. What is the situation going to be tomorrow? Is it going to be as bad?
Shreya, there is absolutely no clarity. We have heard words, we've heard the Civil Aviation Minister, we've heard the DGCA as well, but this is the condition on the ground. You can see where I'm reporting from Terminal 1 of the IGI airport, but you can easily confuse this as a railway station. The mess that you can see here, the number of passengers who are here. In fact, inside, request my camera person to also zoom in. People have queued in large numbers, attempting to reschedule their flights, and there is absolutely no communication from IndiGo. But also you can see here that there are disabled passengers here as well. There are disabled passengers here as well who are awaiting to hear from IndiGo. We'll try and speak to some of the passengers who have been stuck here for us. Madam, आप कितनी देर से यहाँ फंसी हैं?
हम लोगों को आके, I cannot talk much. तो हमको आ गए हैं 2 घंटे हो गए हैं और हम है ना मतलब I'm in a fix 80 years old.
Ma'am, what would you say, ma'am?
No, she cannot talk.
She cannot talk?
She is mentally challenged, disabled girl. तो है ना वो तो बात नहीं कर सकती पर मैं वृंदावन आई थी शादी में अभी हैदराबाद हमारा घर है I'm in a fix now कि मैं इधर आई सारे टिकट्स कैंसिल हो गए फ्लाइट्स इंडिगो के और हमको नहीं समझ रहा हम क्या करूं मैं अकेली.
Shreya, her sister is disabled, mentally unstable, and IndiGo is not giving them an answer, and this is the state on the ground. IndiGo does not have answers. The ministry doesn't have answers. They've only now took action for it. But is this too little, too late? Because people here struggling and stranded.
Okay, we'll leave it there for the moment. Isha, thank you very much. The CEO of IndiGo now admitting that today itself, 1,000 flights have been cancelled, which means since November 1st, at least 1,800 flights have been cancelled. 1,800 is the number you need to remember, ladies and gentlemen. Therefore, some big questions that need answering this evening. Did IndiGo deliberately paralyze India's aviation to arm twist the government? That's a question that many people are asking, especially the pilot associations. How can a 65% market share airline collapse over a shortage of pilots? How is that even possible? Why did Air India operate normally under the same rules? Only IndiGo didn't. Who is running India's skies? The government or a private airline with a foreign CEO? Those are questions, ladies and gentlemen, that need answering. And these are not questions that the opposition is posing. These are questions that paying citizens and flyers in this country are asking. Tushar Gupta, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, I always clarify why we have the guests we have. Just to tell you that an invite was sent to the BJP to send a spokesperson for this show. They declined. Obviously, the question at hand, the topic at hand is an inconvenient one. Therefore, Tushar Gupta, a double thank you for joining us this evening. Saral Patel, spokesperson of the Congress Party, joining us on the broadcast. Sarosh Damania is an aviation lawyer. Thank you very much, Sarosh. GS Baba is a former general manager, Public Relations Airport Authority of India. He is joining us on the broadcast. And Captain Saurabh Bhatnagar is a former A320 pilot. We are hoping to be joined by him because right now, this evening, it's pilots who are extremely upset. They're asking essentially why IndiGo is being given special treatment. Why is it that one set of rules applies to IndiGo and other set of rules apply to all other airlines? What they are also saying is when you tell IndiGo that for the next 2 months they don't need to follow the rules that everyone else needs to follow, essentially you're endangering the life of passengers. Tushar Gupta, should I start with you? Let me start with you, Tushar Gupta. Even as someone who supports the BJP, will you agree that the government has been caught napping? That for the last 4 days, we were seeing this chaos unfold right in front of our eyes, and we saw the government do nothing, sit quietly, just wait and watch till it climaxed today.
Well, Shreya, you are right. The government is guilty of not micromanaging IndiGo Airlines for the last 18 months. The government is guilty of not micromanaging how IndiGo hires its pilots for the last 18 months. It's very clear. The DGCA notified the rules in January 24. All other carriers were obliged. IndiGo was caught napping. IndiGo did not do it. Today, IndiGo wants to discuss with the government, wants to have a partial reversal. All that is fine. But yes, the government is guilty of not micromanaging IndiGo. For the future, I think, if any such rules are notified, the government should get into the business of micromanaging such carriers. Because what has happened today is that an airline scheduled, confirmed, and booked flights they had no intention of flying. They actually asked the passengers to reach the airport, let the delay be of a couple of hours, which eventually became 24 hours. And 24 hours later, they're telling them, oh, the flight is cancelled. Why is it cancelled? Because the rosters are not prepared. Now, are we to believe that a carrier which holds a 60% market share in the Indian market could not prepare a tweak roster for the last 24 months? We can't. And therefore, yes, the government is guilty of not micromanaging the IndiGo carrier. Yes.
Tushar, for a moment, I thought you were being sarcastic because it is not the government's job to micromanage anything, especially not especially not the aviation sector that doesn't essentially even come under the government.
What is the solution, Shreya? No, Shreya.
The solution was, Tushar Gupta, if on November 1st you saw chaos, videos were going viral like mad. What is your machinery doing? What is the DGCA doing? Do they have ears and eyes? If they have ears and eyes and a mouth, they should have spoken up and said, all right, IndiGo has created a massive mess. This is looking like a complete disaster. Let us step in. If they think they cannot implement the pilot rules, the new pilot rules on November 1st, let's just give them some time. Now, there's a big question mark on whether IndiGo should be treated specially or not. But the one thing I know, Tushar, is that passengers cannot be treated the way they have been treated.
Oh, absolutely. Passengers cannot be treated this way. And this is what surprises me, that why couldn't IndiGo be upfront about its inability to serve the passengers? They could have flown whoever they could have cancelled whatever they could have, and they could have refunded the rest. The CEO came up with a statement an hour ago that we are going forward with the communication and refunds. I don't know what was very special about that. But the DGCA, at the end of the day, look, the DGCA can only advise the airlines. It cannot act on behalf of airlines. It cannot schedule the flights for them. It cannot cancel the flights for them, because that also sets a very dangerous precedent. Shreya, I'm not being sarcastic when I say that the DGCA should have micromanaged IndiGo, because the kind of behavior IndiGo has really displayed in the last 72 hours, it warrants micromanagement. I'm all for the government not being in the business of business, but if these episodes become common, the government will have to step into micromanagement. There's no other solution.
Captain Saurabh Bharadwaj, I've heard many pilots today say that essentially IndiGo is the one that has orchestrated this entire chaos because they know they can. Because they have a 65% market share. If they don't fly flights, if they cancel flights or delay flights, there is going to be chaos. Essentially, you're in a position to arm twist or blackmail the government, take passengers hostage, take the government hostage, and ensure that the new rules don't apply to you. Is that what you feel has happened?
Hi, good evening. My name is Captain Saurabh Bhatnagar, not Bharadwaj.
I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon, Captain Bhatnagar. मैं थोड़ा गुस्से में हो गई इसलिए इधर का उधर हो गया.
That's okay. See, whatever has happened, it's very unfortunate for civil aviation. I've been an IndiGo pilot for quite some time. The thing is that, everybody's saying that it has been artificially created. It is very difficult to believe what has happened today for the last, 2 days, what is happening. IndiGo has such a good software and everything. And as everybody knows, this new FDTL was introduced last year. They had ample of time. It could have been better managed. Cancelling 1,000 flights and more and everything out of Delhi. it doesn't sound okay to me. I have been, pilots have been telling me that they don't know. They've been going to the airport and, only to be told that, your flight is cancelled. But something somewhere is very wrong. I don't know how it has not been managed, but yes, whatever IndiGo at the end of it wanted from the government, yeah, they got it because the new FDTO rules, which were supposed to be implemented in, letter and spirit, now they have been rolled back by DGCA and 10th of February, which is very, sad to happen.
Sarosh,
I believe...
Sarosh Damnia, then can I get you in? Captain Bhatnagar is saying that IndiGo has got exactly what it wanted from the government, which means, please don't let we don't need these rules. Till February 10th, we cannot implement them. And they got their wish. My question to you simply is this. What is the problem in hiring? Right? That by the end of it is what the problem is. Okay, you want to be a lean team. Every corporate in this country now wants to be a lean team. But does it mean that you leave your passengers stranded the way you are? I've just given our viewers an example of Air India. And let's just put that comparison back on our screen so that our viewers know what we are talking about. There is a comparison with Air India there, and IndiGo fails, woefully fails. If they had 2 years, they knew that they would need 20% more pilots. They had 2 years to hire. Why could they not hire? किसके लिए पैसा बचा रहे हैं?
See, essentially, I feel that the Ministry of Civil Aviation, that is the DGCA, has been taken for granted in our India system, the getting extension system, the laid-back attitude which is going on since ages. So the entities are not planning.
Sarosh, your audio is terrible. Let me fix that audio for you. Can you just, reconnect for a bit? You are saying that IndiGo has taken DGCA completely for a ride. DGCA, Sarosh, 1 minute, we'll fix your audio first. DGCA, GS Baba, has willingly been taken for a ride. Did they not
DGCA has been taken for a ride. It is because of many reasons. We know that DGCA doesn't have a competent staff. DGCA doesn't have enough staff. Shortage of staff is nothing in all government departments. No one is replacing the retiring staff. And we are a country of millions and billions, and we do not have few hundred pilots or few hundred professionals. We cannot accept that. Only thing when we are talking today, we should not look at this particular incident. We should see what were the systemic default which we are kept in. You see, we are governed by FAA. We are governed by ICAO. And FAA has clear rule. Any regulation you bring, which is very expensive and sensitive, you should have a system of CPA, cost-benefit analysis. FAA is like DGCA in America. They have got CPA system. And every rule they make, they will have to CBA analysis, and that CBA analysis goes to the finance minister and for acceptance and deliberation, so that they say
it's a good point.
You're talking that financial provision are there. And moreover, now it is a question of keeping all eggs in one basket. 65% you are giving one to one airline that market share. You should have some kind of cap or deeper mechanism that.
Okay, Tushar, it's a good question. I'm going to come to you with that question. It is a very good question. Someone formed the rules in the DGCA, and just by the way, DGCA is part of this government. It's part of the Civil Aviation Ministry. So we keep saying DGCA, but let's say the government of India, let's say the Civil Aviation Ministry. 2 years ago, someone thought of these rules. These rules are good rules. It means that our pilots are more rested. And can we just put out those rules so that our viewers know exactly what we are talking about? These rules are good rules because it knows that our pilots will be well rested and therefore our flights will be safer, right? Good rules. But was a cost-benefit analysis done, Tushar Gupta? Because if it was, we wouldn't have seen this chaos. मतलब ये तो rollback सरकार हो गई ना? आपने वो संचार साथी, who thought of it? You had to roll back. Now you have these pilot rules that were supposed to be implemented. You have not rolled them back, but you have put a stop to them for the next 2 months.
No, if you're talking about the cost-benefit analysis, what do we prefer? A delayed flight, a cancelled flight, or a flight that has crashed? That is what the government had in mind. When AI 171 crashed earlier this year, the one question we all were asking is that what is the government, what is our carriers doing to take care of the fatigue factor, which hurts our pilots across the country? And let's be very clear, the government notified these rules in January 2024 because they wanted to align with the international standards. Now, if the government is saying that instead of 6 night landings a week, you can only have 2. If instead of 36 consecutive hours for rest, you can only have 48, and that won't include your leaves, where is the government wrong? And this was before the crash. This was much before the crash. The government understands the kind of movement that is happening in the Indian aviation market. There will be greater demand in the coming years, but that's more the reason to ensure that the pilots' mental health, their fatigue factor is taken into account, and that is what the government suggested. And if the IndiGo doesn't want to comply with it, again, that brings me back to the same point. I think it's the time the government gets into the micromanagement of IndiGo. There is no other solution. Otherwise, the government has very limited options. I don't want to get into the part where once upon a time, a government ended up nationalizing a private airline. That's a ridiculous idea. But if the private carrier is not even thinking about the pilots, forget the passengers, the government will have to start micromanaging it. There is no other solution.
Saral, therefore, I come to you. We've seen a lot of sound bites come to us from Parliament, essentially opposition parties blaming the government for what is happening. And ladies and gentlemen, this is not just an IndiGo mess, that people have been waiting for 10 hours. They have no clue when their flight will take off. After 12 hours, they are told that their flights will be cancelled. 1,800 flights have been cancelled in the last 4 months. Many, many more flights will be cancelled tomorrow as well, is what the CEO is saying. It's not just about that. It is also about the fact that if you want to cancel your IndiGo flight and book a flight in any other airline, do you know how much you're paying? At one point, one flight, one seat, it was a business class seat to Jaipur from Delhi, was 88,000. Does that make sense? But that is also the sort of predatory pricing that customers and citizens are going through today. But here's the point, Saral Patel. I agree, there is part of the blame lies with the government, but a bulk of the blame has to go to IndiGo. IndiGo was very much in the room when this agreement was signed, that these new rules will be implemented from November 1st. Now, if they fail in their duty, the limited point that the government and the BJP will make or are making this evening is, not Tushar Gupta, but the BJP, that what can we do? हम क्या कर सकते हैं इसमें? हमारी कैसे गलती है?
Shreya, so I was patiently listening to all my fellow panelists. So let me quickly make 2 points and then I will answer your question. So for last 5 days, what we have witnessed is a complete collapse of our aviation center. You know, the scenes unfolding at our airports are grim, but they are not new. India has seen this before. We saw this trigger happy incompetence during demonetization when overnight families couldn't buy medicines. We saw it during the lopsided implementation of GST when the small businesses were forced to shut down. We saw it during the COVID lockdown when the migrant workers were forced to walk thousands of kilometers to their homes. So the pattern is always the same. Modi government pulls the trigger first and thinks of consequences later. This is what the Amrit Kal of misgovernance and incompetence looks like.
Rhetoric.
So you are
Tushar, why are you calling it rhetoric? Abhi to within this week itself, we've had 2 rollbacks.
And I did not interrupt you. So please be patient. You know, this is the problem. This is the problem with the government and their people, that, you know, they are not patient listeners. They do not heed to they do not have the ears on the ground. So my friend defending the government said, you know, what can government do? DGCA can conduct audit for the readiness, that have all the airlines complied with the rules that they have taken out, and are they ready to implement those rules? You know, it cannot be that some Babu sends a letter and then there is no oversight to see whether the airline will implement those rules or not. This is what incompetence looks like.
Okay.
And the civil aviation minister talked about, you know, setting up the committee and all of that. But there are 3 basic questions that he should have answered. That, you know, where is the accountability, and what are the penalties that IndiGo will be made to pay for? What is the compensation that the stranded passengers will
because
be
IndiGo
given?
must be made to pay. Saral,
And
you're right.
today-
IndiGo
today-
must be made to pay for taking Indian passengers and to some extent the Indian government hostage as well. Ladies and
And
gentlemen,
today I
here's the
was at
fact.
the
Saral,
airport.
time over. Here's the fact. Here's the fact. You know, India's civil aviation market is the fastest growing in the world. We all know that. It is growing at a rate of 15%, ladies and gentlemen. You simply cannot run it on lean teams and crews and prayers for clear skies. You can't blame the weather one day and a lack of pilots the other day. You really need to fix your game. It's as simple as that. And Saral is absolutely right, not as someone representing the Congress, but also as someone representing citizens in this country, that what is the penalty that the government is going to impose on IndiGo? How is it going to make IndiGo pay? With that question, it's a wrap on this discussion. Thank you very much. Tushar Gupta, Saral Patel, thank you. Sarosh, thank you very much. I wish we could fix your audio. GS Baba, thank you. And Captain Bhatnagar, thank you as well. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, a break. There's more on the other side.